By the end of the 1992 season, Nissan's Godzilla had become something the sport's governing body could no longer manage with small adjustments. 2 consecutive Bathurst wins, back-to-back ATCC titles, and a level of crowd hostility that had spilled out in public, on live television, during a podium ceremony. CAMS, the sport's governing body, had already tried the conventional tools available to slow a dominant car down. None of them had worked. The most direct attempt came through weight. CAMS increased the R32's minimum racing weight substantially, from 1,350 kilograms up to 1,500 kilograms, 150 extra kilograms bolted directly onto a car that was already, by its own team's admission, front-heavy due to the long straight-six engine hanging out over the front subframe. It was a significant handicap, comparable in spirit to the ballast penalties Trans Am had once thrown at Audi's 200 Quattro in America. And just like that earlier story, it wasn't enough. The GTR kept winning regardless. With weight penalties failing to meaningfully close the gap, CAMS faced the same conclusion Trans Am had reached years earlier: the advantage wasn't a tunable dial that could be adjusted back into balance. It was structural, built into the fundamental combination of a rules-optimized turbocharged engine and intelligent all-wheel drive, exactly the kind of advantage no amount of added ballast could fully neutralize. The decision that followed was dramatic. Rather than continue trying to handicap Group A cars individually, Australian touring car racing abandoned the Group A formula altogether. Beginning in 1993, the category shifted toward a new formula built around larger, production-based 5-liter V8 engines, explicitly moving away from the small displacement, turbocharged, all-wheel drive approach that Nissan had so thoroughly mastered. This eventually evolved into the V8-based Supercars formula that would come to define Australian touring car racing for decades afterward. Nissan's factory-backed Group A program, along with the R32 GTRS Bathurst campaign, effectively ended with that regulation change. The car that officials could not slow down within the existing rules was ultimately dealt with the same way Audi's Quattro had been years earlier on the other side of the world, not through a handicap, but through eliminating the entire technical category that had allowed it to exist in the first place. Looking back across this whole story, from a mathematically optimized engine displacement, to an all-wheel drive system that solved traction automatically, to a podium moment that captured years of accumulated resentment, the R32 Skyline GTRS Group A era stands as one of the most complete demonstrations in motorsport history of what happens when engineering exploits a rulebook more thoroughly than anyone who wrote that rulebook ever anticipated. Decades later, mentioning Godzilla in Australian racing circles still carries genuine weight, not just as a nickname for a fast car, but as shorthand for an era when one manufacturer's engineering became so dominant, it forced an entire sport to rebuild itself from the ground up just to move on.